Ozark Regional Transit Board Meeting. I'm going to go ahead and immediately turn it over to Ryan, our board chair.
All right, first up on the agenda is the announcement of proxies. And for this meeting, I am the proxy for the Rogers board members, Kent Laughlin, John McCurdy, and Zachary Birdsong. Do we have any other proxies that need to be announced? Hearing none, we'll go to item 2, the adoption of the agenda. Does anybody have any changes they see need to be made to the agenda? If not, I will go ahead and consider those adopted. Item number 3 is the public comment period. I will open up the meeting for public comment at this time. We like to limit these public comments to about 5 minutes because this is a very packed agenda this month. We won't take any action on any items brought up in public comment at this time, but if there's anybody either in person or online that would like to make public comment, you may begin now. Okay. Hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to item number 4. This is for the adoption of the December 24 board meeting minutes. Does anybody see any changes that need to be made to these? If not, do I hear a motion to adopt or approve?
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, the meeting minutes are adopted. Item number 5 is the adoption of the January 2025 Executive Committee Board Meeting minutes. Let's see, we've got those in here. I can go over a summary of what we discussed. A couple things of note were the BRX changes for 2025. Rogers and Bentonville had some changes that they've made to some of their routes. They've taken the main BRX line and split it into 4, I believe, different routes across the cities, much more direct. Those routes will have begun as of February 3rd.
Yes, sir.
We've discussed the Razorback transit pay scale. I believe that's in the executive director's report, so we'll hit on that more later. We talked about the bus shelter purchasing options with grant availability and the possibility for a local match. Joel, I can't remember exact.
It's 80-20 and it's part of a discussion in the executive director's report.
Okay, so we can hit on that later too. And the last thing we discussed is the executive director evaluation, which we will be performing in the next executive committee meeting and approving in the following board meeting.
Yes, sir.
And with that, are there any changes that need to be made to those minutes? All right.
Move we adopt the minutes.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, the executive committee minutes are adopted. Next up, we have the regional planning update. Tim?
Thank you. Last week, regional planning took a small group to Tucson for the SWATA annual conference. I think a key highlight for the group was meeting with the Tucson Regional Transportation Authority. Tucson RTA is in kind of a unique position in that 20 years ago, they took an initiative to their voters for a plan that funded roadway, transit, bike ped projects. That 20-year plan is ending, and they're redoing another 20-year plan in the same manner of taking a plan to the voters for a multimodal transportation future. And so our group kind of heard about their process, what they've gone through. There's some similarities between Arizona state law in an RTA and the Arkansas state law for the RMA. The feedback that we heard from the members that went on the visit was, generally positive, interested in thinking this through more about, would this be something that, we could work through here? And I bring this up here, we've talked about a dedicated, stable funding source for transit. And so in the members that went on this learning trip, there's a potential path here for having the transit dedicated funding source be part of what could be an RMA spin up, so to speak. So I just say all that. Regional planning staff that doubles as the RMA staff is going to continue researching this, talking with our members about it, and learning more about the legal ramifications of pursuing this further. So, but that means it was a good trip, and we didn't shut the idea down after hearing about it. So, and then the SWATA conference in general, Joel was there, Adam was there, got to talk with other transit providers across the Southwest region. I thought it was beneficial to make some connections. And then the other update I wanted to share is the Northwest Arkansas Regional Planning MTP update Forward 2050. We've got our steering committee meeting tomorrow where we're going to be going over high-level goals and objectives of the plan. We're going to be talking about the constrained project list, which is 20 or so projects, and how we want to prioritize those. We have a stakeholder meeting coming up on March 12th. That's going to double as we have our transit alternative study going on too, which is looking at 3 high-capacity transit alternatives. The stakeholder committee meeting that's on March 12th is for Forward 2050 and the transit alternative study. So WSP, the consultant doing that study, is going to be on the call with a part of it. And then the other plug I wanted to put in, April 9th and April 10th, we're having our public involvement sessions for Forward 2050. The April 9th session is going to be at the Fayetteville Public Library from 4 to 7 p.m. April 10th is at the Bentonville Public Library from 4 to 7. Our Forward 2050 public survey is getting launched March 1st. We'll have stations set up there for folks to fill out the survey at the involvement sessions, as well as educational boards set up. All of our staff will be there. We're going to have opportunities for you all to help us get the word out on those sessions as they get closer. That's all I have.
Okay, thanks. Sounds good. Thank you, Tim. All right, next up, we've got a couple new board member assignments today. We'd start out by, if y'all want to do a brief introduction, we can do that for both of you. Dane, if you'd like to go first.
Yeah, sure. My name's Dane Eichling. I'm the mobility coordinator for the city of Fayetteville. I work in the engineering offices. Worked with the city and for the university as a bike and pedestrian coordinator for about 10 years. And so part of my role with the city has expanded into helping work with our transit partners, Razorback and ORT, specifically on shelter placements and stop enhancements. And we've had some progress and some success in building new loading platforms and installing shelters with city crews as well as contractors, and hoping to continue to do that and be involved a little bit more in terms of the operations, but mostly I've just been trying to get stuff built in Fayetteville.
Absolutely. Welcome aboard.
Yeah, thanks.
And I see we also have Yolanda online, I believe.
Good morning. My name is Yolanda Fields. I'm the Community Resources Director for the City of Fayetteville. In that role, I administer our federal grants that assist individuals that are low to moderate income. So that's with our CDBG funding from HUD. And then we also have funding, our COC funding from HUD, where we're actually providing housing for individuals that are formerly homeless. Right now, we have 26 scattered site units all over Fayetteville. That means that we're providing their rental deposits, their utility deposits. We're providing, in some cases, 100% of their rent. So it's based on their ability to pay whatever portion they do, and then we come in with the rest. We also now started a grocery delivery program where we deliver groceries towards the end of the month to help them keep food in their pantries. So I'm very excited to join this group and hope to look forward to seeing what we can come up as far as partnership to help those individuals that need assistance with transportation.
Awesome. Thank you, Yolanda. Welcome aboard, and it's great to have you both here. All right. Next up, we have the approval of resolution 25.2.27.
All right, so this comes to us from the Federal Transit Administration. The background on this is we received a letter, I'm going to say late January, that said you have to have this resolution signed off by your board or governing authority. And if you'll notice attached to it is an attestament letter from our attorney. The attorney has to also attest to the fact that we have matching funds. I reached out to all of our participating cities asking what model or what mechanism is used to go ahead and provide those matching funds. Everybody was able to respond to me that it was, whether it was through the resolution, an ordinance, a letter of agreement, through their budgetary process, because that also has to be provided to the FTA. Somewhere along the way, this is a new rule. Somewhere along the way behind every new rule is a name. Somebody somewhere, I can only imagine, has drawn down a ton of federal funds and didn't have any local money to match it. And everything has probably fallen apart on their end. And so now this is a CYA, as far as I'm concerned, on the FTA side, where they're looking at ensuring that recipients of federal funds have the local funds to match the federal funds that are going along. So we've got the letter on the backside on pages 9 and 10, but I'm going to read the entirety of the resolution, and I'm going to ask for adoption of this resolution when I'm done reading. So, Resolution 250227. This is titled a resolution authorizing the filing of applications with the Federal Transit Administration and operating administration of the United States Department of Transportation for federal transportation assistance authorized by 49 USC Chapter 53, Title 23, United States Code, or other federal statutes administered by the Federal Transit Administration. Whereas the Federal Transit Administrator has been delegated authority to award federal financial assistance for public transit projects. Whereas the grant or cooperative agreement for federal financial assistance will impose certain obligations upon the applicant and may require the applicant to provide the local share of the project cost. Whereas the applicant has or will provide all annual certifications and assurances to the Federal Transit Administration required for the project. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Ozark Regional Transit Authority Board of Directors that the Executive Director of Ozark Regional Transit Authority is authorized to execute and file an application for federal assistance on behalf of the Ozark Regional Transit Authority with the Federal Transit Administration for federal assistance authorized by 49 USC Chapter 53, Title 23, United States Code, or other federal statutes authorizing a project administered by the Federal Transit Administration. Ozark Regional Transit Authority is the direct recipient of federal funds under the designated recipient, the Northwest Arkansas Regional Planning Commission, and is authorized by 49 USC 5307, either or alone or in addition to other federal assistance administered by the Federal Transit Administration, and has received authority from the designated recipient to apply for urbanized area formula program assistance. That the Executive Director of Ozark Regional Transit Authority is authorized to execute and file with its applications the annual certifications and assurances and other documents the Federal Transportation Administration requires before awarding a federal assistance grant or cooperative agreement. That the executive director of Ozark Regional Transit Authority is authorized to execute grant and cooperative agreements with the Federal Transit Administration on behalf of Ozark Regional Transit Authority. Certification. The undersigned duly qualified chairman of the Board of Directors of Ozark Regional Transit Authority certifies that the foregoing is true and correct copy of the resolution adopted at a legally convened meeting of the Ozark Regional Transit Board of Directors held on February 27th, 2025.
Oh, nobody found a typo with that, otherwise.
Now, again, this is one of those things where somebody has really screwed something up and all of us as designated recipients or direct recipients have to jump through hoops. So I'll be looking for approval.
There a motion associated with approving this resolution?
So moved.
All right, we have a motion. Do I hear a second? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, the resolution has been passed.
Very good. There's a copy of it on your desk for signature and dating, and we will get that uploaded. We have to have this uploaded and all the backup documents to the FTA by the 5th of March.
Okay. I'll get that going.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Next up are the financial reports, Mindy.
All right, we have our year-end financial reports here. At the end of December, we had a favorable balance in revenue of about $145,000, which mainly was due to charter revenue and miscellaneous revenue with a little additional grant revenue and how great we did with our charters this year that weren't budgeted. Our expenditures, however, had an unfavorable balance, and that was mainly due to salaries and wages and our repairs on our buses. Salary and wages was due to the unbudgeted charters and then some additional work we'd added into the year. And then our equipment, of course, we know parts and everything has gone up exponentially. And so we kind of foresaw that, but some good things, fuel was way under budget, would kind of help that curve it back. But overall, there was a positive balance of $7,000 for the year. So we kept it very tight, but we stayed positive, stayed in the black. So that was good. Are there any questions?
No questions. Thank you, Mindy.
Thank you.
We'll move on to the ridership stats. Kendall?
Yeah, this can quick, make it full screen so we can see it better. In here a little bit, this is kind of our dashboard of our service, overall service, our fixed route and on-demand service. If you look at this box up here, we've almost completed 45,000 passengers already this year. Up 2.3% from the same time last year, 2.3% increase in ridership through the. This was higher a couple weeks ago, 13%, but last week being closed 3.5 days for the weather. Last year's caught up with us a little bit, but we'll be back going and this will be increasing throughout the year. As you can see right down here. I mean, in January, we carried, 26,000, over 26,000 passengers. Just 2 years ago in 23, 16,000. So 10,000 more passengers in a couple of years here in the month of January. You can see maybe a little downtrend, but once again, that's weather related. Our daily ridership right there is about 1,177, basically because we had some weather last week. The daily ridership went down a little bit, but this week, nicer weather, everybody's back. This week, we're averaging over 1,300 passengers a day this week. So we're trending up, continue to trend up. Like I said, this is fixed route and on-demand service combined. You see the federal ridership there, fixed route ridership in federal is really taken off. A lot of them around 10 and 20. And so, anyway, I will jump to another page here and we will look at, talk a little bit about the on-demand service. 866 passengers so far this year. This is just 2025. 866 unique customers have ridden the service. Average ETA to pick them up is around 18 minutes. Their average ride duration is about a little over 11 minutes. And you can just see all the on-demand pickups throughout the system. we just kind of go through each city here, one by one. We'll start in Bentonville. One vehicle covering all of this area in Bentonville, a big service zone with just one vehicle. That's why you're seeing just a 34% completion rate, 57% denial rate. So you see all the red up here, they're getting denied throughout the day, trying to get their rides in Bentonville continuously. But that's, like I say, you're still carrying a lot of people throughout Bentonville. Fayetteville, jump to Fayetteville real quick. Open two, there it goes. Fayetteville with its vehicles, it's carrying about basically averaging 7% completion rate with a 10% denial rate. Rogers, about 62%. So one vehicle covering a lot of Rogers areas. So the bigger the zone and less vehicles, it's tougher to get that. Usually why the seat unavailable rate is higher than it should be really. But Springdale, with its zone, smaller zone, two vehicles, 85%. That's really a goal to try and get 85%, just a 4% denial rate. So Springdale, a lot of their customers are getting their service along their zone.
Pause right there for a second, Kendall. And just to remind everybody, if you look at the 85% completed rate, the 4% seat unavailable, and the 12% unacceptable proposal, that's the math that adds up to the 100%. Unacceptable proposal is if I open up the app, I schedule my trip, it says it's gonna take 8 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever to get there, and I don't like it, I cancel it. As a rider, that is the unacceptable proposal. Seat unavailable is where the system cancels it and says, we can't get you, based off of the parameters that we built into it. So seat unavailable is system cancel, unacceptable proposal is rider cancel.
So across the system, out of 10,000 almost passengers, 65% approved rides and 24% unavailable. And like Joel said, didn't accept the proposal. Maybe didn't want to wait that long. They just canceled the trip that they had booked. So this looks bad. I don't want to touch on that. This is our average daily ridership, 244 in January. We just 3 people down, 241 in February. So that's not as drastic as it looks. It's just 3 fewer people we're carrying this month. So wanted to hit on that real quick. One more thing on this report, this Power BI report, I've made this little dashboard here of the maps, finally with their stop activity. It's still a work in progress, but you can just kind of see Hillcrest Towers this is just 2025 through last night. Hillcrest Towers by far our most popular stop, NWA Mall, the Supercenter in Springdale is third, and you can see some of the other library in Fayetteville. So this just kind of shows the boardings and the lightings, the total stop activity of each of our stops. We just clicked on a stop. Our 20 is our most popular route, so you just kind of see exactly where all the activity is. Like I said, it's a work in progress. You can't see the route line underneath the stops. I'm still working on that. Hopefully next board meeting I'll have the route line on there. But you can just see all the way from Washington County Operations through Seven Hills, east side of Fayetteville, Hillcrest Towers. You just see the different stops and the activity all around the route. We just jump up to Bentonville and show a couple of stops up there. Our new Route 14 that just started in February. Once again, I don't have the route line on there, but you can see the David Glass and dipping down Moberly, Sam's home office. Here's Northwest Medical Center. 10 people gotten on and off there in here in the last couple of weeks. So even Bentonville High School, there must be some students riding to and from the high school. So that's great. Let's just look at the BRC real quick. Connects Rogers and Bentonville. From downtown Rogers, the Center for Nonprofits, you see the stop activity along Walnut, up 24th. This is NWAC, this stop right here. Very popular, 200 people on and off in the BRC here in the last couple of weeks. David Glass, here's the new home office area. Some of those stops we've just put in place in the newly opened 8th Street along the new Walmart campus. And of course, the Bentonville Community Center, Salvation Army Neighborhood Market area down here around Hyde Street and Walton Boulevard. So, but anyway, you can just kind of see this is a new slide I've got in this report. And just to finish up, talking about Power BI, if anybody wants to have access to this, if you have a Power BI license with a pro subscription to it, I can send you a link and y'all can just, each day I update the ridership data by about 6:30 or 7 every morning. So it's up-to-date ridership. You can click in and out. You can see the stop activity where they're getting on and off at, and each of these presentation slides that I've got. So if you do have that and you want access to that, just let me know and we can certainly do that. Power BI is included in some Microsoft Office 365 licenses. So, depending on what level licensing you have, you may have it. You may just only use Excel and Word and Publisher stuff, but Power BI is available. If you want this link, I sent it to you. But if you don't, I'm actually going to, here in the next couple of weeks, get this on the website. It's a little limited. You can still click it on and off. It'll be a ridership tab on our website. I'll get to Eric to put on our website. And you can still go in here and look at the ridership, but you won't have access to the maps. So you're a little bit limited on the website if you don't have Power BI Pro version. So you won't be able to see the bus stops or on demand, see exactly where the warnings and the lightings are. So, but anyway, this is still work in progress. I'm getting close to getting it finalized, trying to figure out different ways to analyze the data and present it. And so that is all I got today.
So that was fixed route only. It was for stops. on
This,
fixed route.
yeah, that was just the fixed route system, yeah.
Okay.
I'll go back to that. Yes, that was just, these are just fixed route bus stops. So, yeah, you can
But
zoom in
heat
and see.
map for ODT.
A heat map
separate. Yeah.
Yeah, the ODT one was, yeah, it was separate each city,
Okay.
so, but like I say, those two maps, you won't be able to see them on the website version, but on the Power BI Pro version, you actually have that, the ability to have that, and I'll be glad to share a link if anybody wants it, and keep tabs on our ridership any day you want to see it.
Okay.
So in the hope that we can actually move away from the static 17 to 20 sheets that we've been providing to the active, the War and Peace model, to the active, interactive Power BI moving forward. Goal and objective is that by April, we have this ready for us to migrate. We will still provide the cover page that's under tab 6 of our ridership reports, because that is just a quick glance summary at everything. But as far as getting the board involved with all of the reporting, this is where I want to migrate to, because to me, it's just a much easier, understandable way of looking at our data. And again, like I say, it's interactive. We can pick and choose times, dates, routes, that type of stuff, service level. And we can really winnow down on if there's a problem somewhere, we can start to take a look at historical data and hopefully make the changes necessary through the data that we're being provided.
Okay. See,
So, yeah,
okay. Any other questions on this? Okay, if not, thank you, Kendall. We'll move on to the communications update. That gonna be Erica?
Also, Keisha.
Oh, Lakeisha?
Oh, there you
Yes, she was on there.
she on this?
She was on there 2 minutes ago. Yeah.
Is everybody?
All right. Okay, is Erica in the room?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm gonna just turn it over to Erica to kick off the first part in regards to marketing updates that we have from our communications department.
Gotcha. Hi, everyone. Nice to see everyone. Okay, so as I mentioned at the last board meeting, we were gonna start to separate the messaging to each city based on what they had and what their needs were, because in the month of December, we did invite all of the city communications departments to come here and just kind of tell us what their cities were looking for. And we had Fayetteville, Springdale, and Rogers come to that meeting. Unfortunately, Bentonville wasn't able to make it, but we have been in communication since. And so we've been tailoring their messaging based on what they would like, but we've also wanted to make sure that each of the cities knew the programs that they had. Because we found that last year we did Northwest Arkansas, and Northwest Arkansas is pretty broad, you know, that's Lowell, that's, you know, that's all of these different cities that may not have public transportation. So we really try to focus it on each of the cities. And then we began collaborations with like the Bentonville Library. We started to work with multiple food insecurity organizations like Springdale Schools and different food banks. We've collaborated with the Walmart headquarters to create a video to help their employees get to know these new routes that are happening. Another thing we did was we are starting to talk with these food insecurity organizations to help underserved populations and how we can get them the paper passes so that they're able to use the bus so that they can get to work, they can get to food, and, they can just grow their livelihood. I'll let Jeff speak to any of the public appearances that we've done in the last quarter, but we've really encouraged the cities to come and do ambassador training. I spoke with the city of Fayetteville and they're excited to do something like that just so that they can learn about what's going on with public transportation. And really, every time we have ambassadors come through, they leave with a whole lot of information. They're really overwhelmed. They usually need a nap, but 4 days later, they do ask a lot of questions and they're really well informed. And it's really great to make sure that the cities know how to use public transportation because it's different in every city, not in Northwest Arkansas, every city, but if you use public transportation in New York, it's different than when we use it in Madrid. It's different than when we use it in Northwest Arkansas. So we try to bring that education piece to our ambassador program. We saw a significant growth in our Instagram engagement and Facebook engagement. Mostly Instagram is where a lot of our current riders are looking for information, especially in real time. We always encourage people to go to our website, Passio Go on demand, our ORT on demand app. We're really focusing, get your messaging on there, but 9 times out of 10, our riders get their information on Instagram. So we're trying to keep that as updated as possible, even though we tell them the quickest information you're going to get is going to be on Passio Go or on demand, but we can't do anything about that. Some new digital campaigns, you can see it right up here. That's going to be, we have 2 billboards right now that are happening. No, oh, that's not the actual one. I was looking at it, I was like, that doesn't look familiar. So we have a billboard in Springdale right now off of Sunset near the Sam's Club. And then we also have one in the city of Springdale, right next to the, is it Cargill? Cargill, right next to that Cargill plant where unfortunately a lot of people have lost their jobs because they closed that, but we have now hiring right there. We're actually going to be updating this ad, so the website's going to be significantly larger. We didn't notice that until we saw it, and then we were like, well, that's going to be bigger. So we're working on that, and then as I said before, a lot of our messaging this quarter was the new routes that are happening. So we did have a lot of information for the city of Bentonville and the city of Rogers. But before we started that, we actually did a whole blog and campaign for the city of Fayetteville and the city of Springdale to let them know, like, hey, we still love you. We still will give you everything. You have all of our love in the world. This particular project that's happening in Rogers and Bentonville started happening 2 years ago. So we let them know, like, hey, this is the process. So there is a blog that explains, I think it's called Springdale and Fayetteville, We Still Love You. And it's so that they can see the process of what it's like to launch something like this. That it's not just playing, it's not playing favoritism. It's not, it's funding, yes, but it's really 2 years ago, Rogers and Bentonville said, hey, this is what we want. And they came to us first, and Joel helped me with that blog, and we were able to articulate it so that the cities understood what was going on. And then now, when they do comment on certain social media, on certain social media posts, they say, we're next, or we're excited to be next, instead of why not us. So we're really excited about that campaign. And then as far as brand awareness and recruitment initiatives for HR, we currently have TV ads, so that you can see those on CW and 4029. We also have online streaming ads, so if somebody's on Hulu, you'll see our ad pop up. It's also an ad that you can't click away from. So you're going to be stuck there for 30 seconds. And we do have a 99% completion rate, so people aren't that mad. And then we also have online banner ads. So if you're on, let's say, the Weather Channel app or the Weather Channel website, which everybody's probably been on in the last 2 weeks, you'll see our ad pop up on the banner and then on the sides. And then we also have, as I mentioned, the billboard ads. And then we are also doing a lot of display ads on social media. So if there's a place for us to have marketing and advertising and communication, we've got it. And then to cherry on top of all that is Jeff going to every single networking event possible and telling everybody that we're still here. So we're really excited about all the different ways that we're able to communicate with the public. And then we had a lot, like as I mentioned earlier, we had a lot of website updates, especially the one that Kendall was discussing. So we put a lot of information on our website. We directed a lot of Bentonville and Rogers cities, when they had questions, we said, hey, I gave you all the information, but you can also find this information on our website. We had a lot of support from the cities to disperse that information. They did press releases based off of that information. So we had a lot of communication with the cities, especially with the new routes that were getting launched. And we wanted to make sure that people knew we weren't taking anything from them, but what we were doing is we were making it a little bit easier for them to navigate the cities. And it was to them, it felt more robust and it felt like a public transportation system. They felt like they were in a big city and we're like, hey, that's okay. Small town, big city feel. So we were able to communicate that very effectively. And then we also promoted the Passio Go and the on demand app. And then we had a branding discussion with the City Mapper app. And that's all. Any questions? I know I gave you a lot of information, as always.
I did have one
Oh.
question. The events, I know we talked about before trying to get the board more involved in the public outreach events, and it's been a while since I've seen an Outlook invite of any sort. Would that be possible for us to get those more regularly?
Yeah, we can definitely do that. We also have it on our website. So if
Okay.
you go to our main website on just like the homepage, you'll see everywhere we're gonna be.
Okay.
So it might, that might be easier, so you can kind of pick and choose, and then you can also add it to your calendar from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
But I can make a note to start sending those out as we create them, because we do have them internally.
Okay.
And then another thing, I'm sorry,
If that's okay with the rest of the board.
you all want emails from us?
Yeah.
Invitations? Because then you're gonna get them, and then it's gonna be like, we're just tapping you on the shoulder, like, hey, hey, you guys wanna come and hang out? And then you're just like, no, I don't wanna hang out. We're like, wanna hang out now? So, just saying, don't say that you wanna come and hang out with us, then don't. I hope that's part of public record. But one more thing, something that we are looking to improve this year is, getting our alerts in Spanish more regularly, because what I noticed last week is we had a lot of Spanish speakers reach out to us via like Facebook and Instagram saying that they need information in Spanish. So I feel like that's a place that we can improve, and then eventually get into having it automatically in Marshallese as well. So that's where our goals are for this next quarter.
So I just had a question too. So you talked a little bit about just basic messaging that you're promoting routes and trying to educate the public. And then what else are you doing in terms of, getting new riders or getting new, engagement with people that don't think transit is for them, or they're not aware of the program? So, I see recruiting drivers is a huge push. So since we're hiring, what else are you doing to engage with prospective riders?
So that's where our ambassador program comes in. So we create those ambassadors and we train them, and then they talk to their communities. And then also when we see people tag us on social media, or because I'm nosy, I will just scroll through social media and see what people are talking about. And a lot of times it's, or public transportation is in Northwest Arkansas, and then we help the conversation along there. But really our ambassadors are where we can get the most bang for our buck, really, because we don't have a lot of budget for marketing outside of now hiring right now. And what we've done is we did 80% now hiring and 20% brand awareness to help with raising that brand awareness in Northwest Arkansas. And then we also, when we go to events and people ask us questions, Jeff is really great about showing them how to use different routes. And then we get a lot of emails where people are asking, how do I do this route, or how do I do this? And then educating, like the high schools is something that we've really focused on last year to get the next generation of riders. Although we really do want to focus on not the older riders, but I would say like millennials and older generation Z, so they can get more comfortable with it, which is why we go to some of these events.
And do you do just broader events like farmers markets or other, like I'm thinking like the university has lots of tabling type style events?
Well, I think Jeff can probably speak to that a little bit more, because he does our that type of community outreach. The type of community outreach I do is just our digital stuff. And then I also do our ambassador program. So I mostly work with businesses and organizations in a larger capacity. And then Jeff really works with the public in that way. So he can probably answer that a little bit more.
And in addition to that too, you'll see a little bit from on my slides as well of how I also connect and do outreach within the community to help engage riders too. So there'll be some more details coming up shortly.
I feel what Jeff and Lakeisha do really well is they remove that barrier of this is really anxious. I don't know what this is. This is new for me. And they really humanize it so that the riders feel better asking questions and more confident. And then we come in with that education piece. And we also have a lot of videos that show how to use, almost like this is how you get on a bus. And this is how you use on demand. And we really try to walk people through that. So they pull down the anxiousness and the newness, and then we come in with some education.
And how many ambassadors are there?
I don't have the list on me, but we've trained over 70 community members, and we have, I can send you all the list. We have about 20 community organizations.
And are the ambassador, is it a volunteer position? Is it paid?
Oh, it's completely volunteer. So for example, like UAMS will come to us and say, hey, we want to partner with you. And it's really the first step to partnering with Ozark Regional Transit. It shows the community investment in coming here. They take 2 hours out of their day. So they're paying their employees to come here, and then they go through that training, and hopefully they leave a little bit smarter with public transportation and how to help their own communities. So we trained organizations like, as I mentioned, UAMS, Mercy, NWA Canopy, and the different chambers in Northwest Arkansas. So those are just off the top of my head, some of the organizations that we've worked with. Goodwill.
I do have a comment, if you guys have a moment. Is that okay?
Yes. We're good.
Okay. One, I just wanted to offer we have a quarterly newsletter. We have currently over 50 hard copy distribution sites, so we'd be happy to put an article in there just discussing whatever you all wanted to discuss. And then you're asking for community input, so we would be happy, that would be included in the article. But then if you guys wanted to have a permanent info box, what I call an info box of any type of info that you would like in the quarterly newsletter on a regular basis, we're happy to do that. As I said, we have our Hearth program. We have 3 case managers that work with our Hearth clients, but basically our office, we see a lot of individuals coming to us asking for assistance. So this training, so that we would have more information to help them maybe determine routes or whatnot, I think that would be a great training for the whole office. Is that something that you all could send me info on? Do we come to you? Does somebody come to our office? We're happy to do it. So anyway, I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
Yay, yes, please. I'll send you all the information that you would like. We do ask that organizations come to us, and that's specifically to kind of pull them from their office, and they're a little less distracted, they're a little less looking at their emails, but also we give them a tour of the facility, and we go on buses, and it's more immersive. It's an immersive experience in public transportation. And I know that sounds super exciting. And I make it as exciting as possible. I have jazz hands, I have props, it's amazing. But you learn, and then you learn about public transportation. I try to make it as exciting as possible, but yes, it's a 2-hour training class here in Ozark Regional Transit.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah.
Lakeisha, am I going next, or do you want to? I'm going next, okay. So to answer your question about the farmer's market thing, farmer's markets can be an effective location and event to promote public transit. We don't really fit as far as just setting up a table and some wrap maps. We don't think we really fit with people going there to get produce and things. But I think one of our most effective events we ever had was the Bentonville Farmers Market a couple of years ago. we took a bus up there and we, put the canvas around it. We had a paint the bus event. It happened to be on Halloween, so all the kids were there and all their costumes and things like that. And we had a bunch of people come over there to paint the bus. They come over and get sugar and candy on one booth and then go over there and hand them some paint to go paint the bus. And it's all watercolor. It's cool, but, so it can be effective. There's a process to getting a bus there and you basically have to take it out of route and take up space in the maintenance shed. So it's a multi-day protocol to get something like that happening. But that was a very successful event. So I think going forward, that could be something that could be effective. Just setting up a booth, I don't think we're going to get a whole lot like this, but we have done in the past and it can be successful.
Yeah.
Last year, we kind of emphasized more the blind spot awareness type events. And so we did, was it one night out or?
National Night Out.
National Night Out, yeah, with the Fayetteville Police Department over there, Gully Park. We did, trunk or treat, out there at the Arbus Ballpark. We kind of stumbled out of the gate, one up at the Amazium, some miscommunication. But we did a few of those types of things. I've got some ideas of how to make that more of a draw to people, because you just set up a bus up there and you put tarps on the ground, people don't really know what it is. So I'm hoping to maybe enlist some of the kids at East out here at the Tyson Innovation Center and maybe create some sort of game to draw people in, and then have, while the kids are playing the game around the bus, maybe the parents are maybe sitting in the seat and seeing, oh my gosh, I can't see my kids because they're on that tarp. And so they realize, oh, that's what this is all about. And so that's obviously going to need some development. Erica and Makisha are a lot more creative than I am. But the East kids are very creative as well. So we're trying to do some things to actually go to events, but also draw people in to have them ask questions. And so we can instruct and not just have a bus up there. We'll watch the bus there. So, since we met last time, it was the Christmas holidays, and so there was our outreach kind of involved going to different organizations and packing groceries. We did a Thanksgiving meal prep pack for it's Seniors Support in Action, which is what used to be Faith in Action. We did that. We did a comfy, cozy clothing type thing with Senior Support in Action, which was just basically sweatpants, sweatshirts, gloves, and I think a toboggan or two and some socks. And that was tailor made to their clients. So if somebody needed medium sweatpants, they got medium sweatpants. It wasn't just a catch all. Also did a non-perishable items at a food packing thing at with Rotary over here at the airport. That was well attended. In January, I kind of stepped out of the public information role for a week. I started my CDL training here, and then the rest of the month was kind of getting caught up with all the other stuff that I missed in that 1 week. February was kind of geared toward getting these new route maps and things out, especially to Bentonville and Rogers, collecting all the old maps, delivering all the new maps. I'm still in the process of doing that because you can't just print out 10,000 maps and have them at the ready because things change, especially at the outset. So kind of dispersing them out slowly. Now we're starting to get more of them out, concentrating on Rogers, NWAC, the Bentonville Community Center, especially the Walmart campus and logistics center and other locations around that have changed recently. That's still a work in progress. We are, let's see.
Extra camera.
The owl speaks.
Wow.
Now interruption.
Let's see.
Everybody still see us? I guess we're still on. We may be losing.
That picture right there is from the Adult Wellness Center. That looks probably like the Spring Wellness Fair, and that's coming up again on April 4th. Just got the application Tuesday. So I'm gonna fill that out, and that is such a well-attended event. I bet there's 600 or 700 people that come to the Adult Wellness Center for that. we get at least 100 people at our booth asking specific questions. Those folks are really interested in public transit, probably because they're different degrees of driving ability, driving access. We have wheelchair accessibility. A lot of people are looking for the ADA stuff. In fact, I'm thinking about maybe inviting our ADA manager to this. I think she could answer a lot more questions than I can. Tina Bowers is her name. If y'all don't know her, she is amazing. Her office is right next door to mine now, and I realize now how amazing she is hearing some of the conversations she takes on. As far as outreach, some of that stuff is organic. And I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I went to a fairly new independent living facility in Rogers over there by the Pinnacle Hills Mall. It's called Pinnacle Springs Resort Community, something like that. A real nice facility. And wanted to see if they wanted some Route 53s in addition to the on-demand transit, because Route 53 goes about a block away from them. Well, since it's kind of older people, you know, pushing walkers and things like that, that really doesn't apply to them. But we got to talking about their facility. They have a theater room, they have a meeting area adjacent to their kitchen. And so we started talking about possibly Tina and I going and do a presentation about how public transit can benefit them, because they're just blown away that on-demand transit will come and pick them up and take them where they need to go for $1.25, as opposed to the Ubers that they're having to utilize right now. They also have their own transit vehicle, but it goes like Tuesday and Thursday to Walmart and back, and that's it. So this is giving them a lot more flexibility for a lot less money. So they're very interested in that. So we're trying to coordinate that and talking with them about some of their facilities. I started telling them about some other networking groups that I'm in that are looking for different locations to have their meetings and their networking events. So we're looking at some of that, and I shared contact information with the Adult Wellness Center that puts on a monthly event called Senior Providers Network, which is another event that I go to. So going forward, we have coming up in April 13th, Sunday, April 13th, the Indian community up there is having their the second one that we're aware of, that I'm aware of, the April Chai Time event, CHAI.
Yep.
And so that was a well-attended event last year. Erica and Lakeisha, this is the creative juices that they bring to the table. And they brought one of these wrapped minivans that has the banjo playing bear and banjo playing frog, guitar playing, I can't remember. And they had kind of a scavenger hunt where kids could find different things on the vehicle as kind of a game type thing to attract kids and have them do some stuff. So that's pretty cool. We'll do that again come April 13th. April 4th is this Adult Wellness Center for the spring. So I have been told to pursue more networking events and outreach in Bentonville. And I found that's kind of a hard nut to crack. There's just not that many networking events up there. I do go to one every week at Big Whiskey. But it's basically the same people for the most part. But everybody I've talked to said, get in with the Greater Bentonville Chamber of Commerce and get on their newsletter to be invited to ribbon cuttings and open houses and things like that. We're going to find out in order to get on that newsletter, you have to be an ambassador. So finally found the right person to get that going. She subsequently quit, found the next person, and filled out that application earlier this week. So hopefully that's going to start having some invitations coming to certain things and meeting different people in that community and getting that going more effectively. I found a couple of networking meetings up there.
This is Dan from Bentonville. I might be able to help you get plugged into some of those other ones, because you know, those are more the business owners downtown, which isn't really where we're running a lot of the routes right now. So it may be a different group we need to plug into there. So maybe I just give you some ideas what your goal is for who you're trying to network with. Maybe I can get you in touch with some other groups. There's lots of things going on, but they're one of them's about bicycles and one of them's about, you know, other things. So trying to get to that right spot, maybe I could help you get to better
Well, we
located.
need to be in the bicycle community, and that's not exclusively where we need to be, but that's something we need to touch on for sure. I have found a couple of networking groups. One is kind of like a BNI group, but it's not officially BNI. Another one, it's a networking group, but they basically just, I've been there one time and they basically show up and they just talk amongst themselves. It's not really a true networking. You don't get to present your cards and tell what you do and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know if that's going to
Yeah.
be effective.
So I know the Bentonville Moves is a pretty active group. They show up a lot of our ribbon cuttings for new roads. That might be a good one to get in touch with. I'll see if I can find the right contact. I know when we put out a new project, they're the ones that show up with the ice cream bicycle and pass out free ice cream and waters, and a lot of people. They do. Jessica's the lady's name. She does a lot of activity. Might be a good person just to plug into in general for you.
Awesome. Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
All right.
And so, yeah, that's basically what I've got going, coming up, going forward. We had a booth fair scheduled for last week, at the Fayetteville High School for transition for kids getting out of high school and transitioning into the workforce and life in general. And that, of course, was canceled or hopefully rescheduled, due to the weather. So I've reached out to find out when the rescheduled event will be, and then I'll get that on the docket too. So any questions?
I just wanted to mention that we have a really active networking group through Startup Junkie, our entrepreneurship hub in Fayetteville, where they have, it's a lot of developing entrepreneurship. So they need to have a lot of events to get people together to share ideas. And they have several events a month there. And I think that might be an interesting environment for transit. I think there's a lot of people that are really interested in.
Okay. Do you know who I should contact there? I know you're representing.
All their events are on their website. And so they're free and open to the public always. So I would just recommend if you look at the events that they have advertised and circle one or two that you think might be a good fit for.
Cool. Yeah, I'm very familiar with Startup Junkie, but I've never been to one of their.
I'm going to my first one this evening. So.
Okay, cool. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Lakeisha? You're still on mute.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to be very brief to just be mindful of time. But this high level is an overview of the work we've been doing from an arts and culture perspective and the key areas that we've hit. We were scheduled for the NWA Black Business Expo on this past Saturday, but what was that? With the weather and everything and safety, we chose not to bring the bus out. In regards to that. But just high level key things that we're doing is we're working to partner with Crystal Bridges to get our Where To film documentary that we did back in 2022, 23 into the Hot Springs International Film Festival. So utilize it as ways to continue to create awareness about what we're doing in regards to public transit. And September 30th, we'll be in Fort Smith. And so we'll actually be taking our mobile art gallery bus out there on that particular day to continue to create awareness at the transit conference there. At the top is Emery, just a quick just representation. She's a new local artist, a student out of Rogers that we'll be highlighting in our next artwork within our mobile gallery inside the bus, and which now puts us at 21 artworks within our buses that we currently have. And let me see. And it's on 13 buses year to date. And then lastly, we were recently in Bentonville at Crystal Bridges, again, utilizing art to help create awareness and engage the community. So this is one of the ways we help to try to engage new riders to bring that awareness around public transit. And so we participated at the Beloved Community Festival and also talked about, I gave a highlight and shout out of the Water Over Wednesdays at the Crystal Bridges event where we had Alice Walton there. And she came to listen to hear about what we're doing with just art in the community and community work. And so I was able to kind of speak high level about ORT and the collaborations with art and Crystal Bridges and public transit there. Go to the next slide. High level, our employee wellness program. We are now, we've had a total of 20 employees that are going through the program, 12 in progress and 8 have completed year to date. Again, this is our Art of Rejuvenation program for those that are new to knowing what we offer here. And this is basically 6 sessions that we offer to the ORT employees as a way to address their mental wellness, mental health, but utilizing art as that form of engagement. And it's 6 sessions that is focused on goals that help to reduce anxiety, stress, and also increase self-confidence and awareness. Also, we will be talking about this. So Gail and I will be traveling in mid-March to Santa Fe, New Mexico to actually talk about our overall employee wellness program that we have, the team in general has been doing at Ozark Regional Transit. Obviously, it's starting to catch buzz. And so we're going to share the work that's been done within Ozark Regional Transit, and the key focuses that we'll be focusing on Sunday as our keynote will be focused on Driven to Care and how transit creates community connection and compassion. So showing how we're doing it inside and outside into the community. And then on Monday, it'll be wellness in transit, focusing again, community, connecting community, culture, and care. So a short version, and then Monday is going to be more of that hour 30-minute version that'll be a little bit more engaging with the public transit drivers and operations that'll be present. But that's all that I have, and that's all that we have from our communications department. And if there's any questions.
I don't hear any. Thank you, Erica, Jeff, and Lakeisha for those. Next up, we've got the adoption of the community engagement subcommittee minutes. Was there someone gonna give a brief summary of those minutes?
Zach, Zach's not here. Erica, Jeff, or Lakeisha, do you guys want to go ahead and do a commentary on those minutes from that meeting?
I can. I wrote up the meetings a lot. It's been a while. I don't have them in front of me. This is them right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll just grab it real
I'll go
quick.
ahead. I can do
Oh,
I can
you
do it
got it?
really quick. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes. Pretty much everything you just heard us cover is what's in these notes. I'm going to sum it up just like that. So high level, it's just a little bit more into the details and the weeds, but what you heard us cover is basically the notes that are shared right here.
Okay, very good.
All right. Any questions? If not, this is an adoption, so do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Okay, we've got a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All right, there's a motion and a second to adopt the community engagement subcommittee minutes. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, adopt. Next up is the open discussion on the transit successes and opportunities in our communities. Does anybody want to open with this one?
And for the new board members, this is an opportunity to just talk about some of the ideas that have been going on in your specific community, or if you have any particular direction that you want me to go ahead and start focusing on. This generally is, hey, look what we did, and it was a success, or we need to do a retry at it, or this is what I would like you to do, Joel. If you've got nothing, you've got nothing. You don't always have to have something, but this is just that opportunity to publicly shout it out.
Joel, this is Dan Weiss. You had sent a couple of notes out about the new route, and we'd had a quick uptick in ridership the first couple of days. Obviously, with the snowstorm, that caused some issues. I was just curious if that's still trending that direction. I kept trying to read the dots on the map, and I couldn't earlier. And I don't think I have Power BI. So is there any information on that new route that goes through the new home office? Because that's a very big hope for us that's going to continue to grow fast.
I'm going to turn it over to Kendall real quick because he can give us a quick summary of what we've been doing the last couple days, weeks.
Yeah, I mean, these routes are averaging 140 passengers this week. Yeah, it did, because of the snow last week, it did drop the ridership a little bit, but these routes around the campus, yes, Route 12, now it's been changed. It's only service and transportation, and the culinary center at the old home office, so, let's just jump to Route 14 quickly around it right here, the new campus, the new 8th Street that's opening up. Yeah, here's the Associate Food Hall, that new building on 8th Street in between J and, MLK, I believe it is. So David Glass is a popular stop, like we touched on. So yes, this Route 14, once again, I don't have the route line underneath it, but you can see the ridership that's riding around it. You see right here, 101 passengers since this route started at David Glass Technology Center. This is over here, not only Chevrolet's across from Sam's Club home office, Bentonville High School we touched on earlier. I'll jump on another couple real quick. The BRC, we'll zoom in on it a little bit around the Bentonville area. Like I say, NWAC is very popular, David Glass, and here's those new stops along the 8th Street corridor that just opened up with the new home office. Both sides of the street from the Welcome Center, 8th Street Market. There's the Welcome Center, so 14, 7, 21. So there's been several passengers figuring out the bus stops around through there, around along 8th Street.
Also, just ridership, like Dan said, we came out of the gate at 133 or something compared to the
133 the first week. Last week we dropped, because of the weather. And like I say, this week we're at 144 passengers on those new routes. The BRX was doing 113 when it was running in January. So yes, the new routes have picked up ridership, and we're at, in fact, Monday we had 159 on the new routes. So that was the highest so far. So yes, they are.
You all know that while the campus is open and 8th is open, they're going to continue to move associates over for the next 4 to 6 months. So the full head count hasn't moved yet. I mean, it's moving a little bit every week. So.
Yes, sir.
We'll see.
Yes, sir. So to answer the question in a nutshell, it looks like we're at about 12 to 15%. I'm just doing stupid math in my head. February over January over the old BRX model versus the combined routes model.
Okay, and that's good. Your contract is going through council right now, so I assume I may get asked that question. I just wanted to have that data available.
Yes, sir.
Dan, if you need me to analyze it for you anyway, I'll put in any graph or chart or anything you'd like to see for if you do present it to anybody, just let me know.
That percentage number will probably cover unless they start asking me very specific questions, which I'll have to come back to you for some data.
Sure.
That'll get me for right now.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone have anything else on this item? If not, we'll go ahead and move to the last executive director's report.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, a couple of things sitting in front of you. I've done the attachments, provided them to you both in email and in person that you're here. First thing to talk about is the Arkansas Public Employee Retirement update. We do have the bill that was filed. The bill is in here so you can see what it looks like. That was filed, I'm going to call it on the 27th of January and immediately moved over to the Joint Committee on Public Retirement and Social Security Programs. Then it went to the actuarial phase, and on February 13th, a GRS out of Michigan provided their actuarial analysis on it. Basically, we're still waiting for it at the Joint Committee to move through the Joint Committee and get out of there. It is moving at the speed of legislation. So we've got it, it's in there. The actuarial portion has been done, and we're waiting for it to get back in front of the the Committee on Public Retirement and Social Security Programs. So it's moving forward. I looked at a comparative bill that started 2 days before ours, and theirs has made it finally on Tuesday on the Joint Committee agenda. So I'm hoping that by next Tuesday, this will be on the Joint Committee agenda, just based off of the timeline. The ORT Charging Fueling Infrastructure Grant, if you remember, we received 14 point something million dollars from FHWA on that in October-ish. We're looking at doing 17 charging fueling infrastructure stations throughout Northwest Arkansas. The CFI information has been submitted so that we can get into the Delphi program, I believe it's called, or Dahlia program with FHWA. Everything has frozen at this point in time, not by anything that we've done, not by anything that FHWA has done, but just by everything that the federal government is doing at this point in time. It is in a stall. And speaking with the FHWA group out of the state of Arkansas, everything is good to go. All the questions are answered. We're waiting for the final green light from the federal side. Once that final green light gets done, my hope for a 12/31/2026 completion is probably going to be pushed off to a July 30th, 2027 completion for everything. I'm just realistically right now, 2 months delay. I'm looking at pushing it off for 6 months because God only knows what other delays or changes will come about of that. And if I got to change anything in the bid documents, that just changes everything as far as the timeline completion. I'm still maintaining hope. Hope to me is a happy anticipation of good things to come. I am still maintaining hope that this goes through because when we talk about a $14 million investment into Northwest Arkansas, we're talking about investment into engineers, contractors, architects, landscapers, concrete guys, their food on their table, their paychecks, that type of stuff, because this is all going to be done by local hands. The only thing that won't be done by local hands on this will be the actual manufacturing of the charging systems themselves. Everything else is going to be local as far as I'm concerned. So we're investing money back into the tables of people that live and work in Northwest Arkansas. CPF CDS. CPF is the Community Project Funding request, and CDS is Congressional Designated Spending requests. We got the opportunity to have both Bozeman's and Womack's offices here mid-year last year, and they were both interested in what we could do to apply for some of their congressionally, I'll use just the term designated spending for both the House and the Senate. I did receive the application last week while I was at SWAT. I completed it on Monday morning under Representative Womack's office, and his is the community project funding request. The total request that we're asking for is 8.705 in the millions. Shelters, we're looking at about $425,000 in shelters. That would include the shelter purchases, and of course about if you do the math, we're looking at 30 shelters. It's about 14,000 per shelter install. So that provides for the purchase of the shelter and about $5,000 to go into the shelter accessibility portion of it, which would be landing pads, sidewalk, landscaping, that type of stuff that goes on with it. So we can get more than just a block shelter. We can get funding to go ahead and actually get it mounted, do whatever curb and gutter is necessary, or actual sidewalk is necessary to connect it. So that's about the average cost. So we put in for that, the 425,000 there, put in 5.4 million for large transit buses. Large transit buses, I'm going to say if they look like a bread box, that's what I'm going to describe as a large transit bus. That should get us about a dozen of the R&R buses. Instead of brand new construction, right now, brand new construction, 18 to 24 plus months from the time that the order is placed. These R&R vehicles are basically, there's a couple of companies throughout the US that buys the older transit vehicles. They buy the older transit vehicles, they can strip them all the way down basically to the shell and repower them with all brand new electronics, engines, drivetrains, coatings on the outside, chairs on the inside, floors, ceilings, everything else. And it is probably about as green as you can possibly get as opposed to throwing those things in the landfill. Because generally those things are fiberglass bodies, aluminum, they'll hammer mill them and put them into different piles, and a lot of that stuff goes into the landfill. So what we're looking at doing is doing the R&R portion of new bus purchases. They come back with the same 10-year life cycle. because they've got all brand new everything in it. And we can put those to use at a fraction of the cost of a new bus and at a fraction of the time of production. Where the new ones are, like I say, 18 to 24 plus months. These are about 10 to 12 months to get them on the large size. Where the new ones are pushing 600 to 700,000. These ones are at about 450,000 a piece. So there's savings all the way around, time and money. The final portion would be the small transit buses, $2.8 million. And when I talk small transit buses, I'm looking at the cutaways. They look like they've got a van front and a box on the back. Those also, these would all be gasoline and or diesel. Now, if I wanted to go diesel electric hybrid, I could. And that's just going to be a little bit more on the cost and a little bit less on the number of vehicles that come back to us. So that went in, this is for 2026 congressional funding. So we won't know anything until 2026 budget year, but please don't forget, we still don't have a 2025 federal budget. And we are 6 months now into it. Budget deadline is March 14th, I think, 14th or 17th. So hopefully we can get a 2025 federal budget, and the new administration will have a 2026 federal budget on October 1st. Oh, don't count on that. Questions on that grant application before I get into the heavy lift that I'm going to ask?
I had not on the grant issue, but previously with that state law, it sounded like basically we're trying to get transit employees to be eligible for the state retirement program.
Yes, sir.
Is that just in addition to the pay and benefits that ORT is already providing, or would that replace something that you're already providing, freeing up more resources to be spent?
So right now we have, and I'm going to get line, what do we have percentage participation in our 457B? Well,
Maybe 15%.
okay.
We have a 457B currently that we
And,
do for retirement.
and so we have very low voluntary participation in the 457B. We need more.
That's like a 401k.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
sir.
similar to 401k.
Yes, sir.
So
We
you
need
have-
more
you have that
recruitment
now.
tools.
And so if you guys are successful and get eligible for this state program, it would to be a benefit, but it wouldn't.
From the ORT side, it will replace the 457B. You as an ORT employee, if you want to keep your 457B and continue to put your money in it, we will no longer put a match into it. But you can still keep your 457B, but this is, APERS is a all or nothing type of scenario where 100% of the employees have to be a participant in it for it to work for the organization. And so we are adding this in to say it's replacing 457B. Yes, from the ORT side, because we're not going to contribute anything into anybody's 457B.
So it maybe free up a small
It's
amount
very-
of budget
very
that you're
small.
using to match those contributions. Is
Yeah, I
that-
mean, a small amount will go towards APERS. It's gonna be more, and we budgeted it in this year. We just,
Okay.
we thought we were able to start it in January, but apparently there was some legal stuff that we had to send it to the state to get us officially approved, because each organization with the tax law has to be exactly in the legislation for us to be part of it.
So if the legislation is approved, it'd be a benefit to the ORT employees.
Yes, sir.
And hopefully,
That would also save ORT money or cost ORT money.
It will cost us money, but we've got it budgeted, working through the cities. We put that in the 2025 budget request, and the cities did do, number one, allowed us, and number two, increased to go ahead and compensate for it.
hoping this will help us keep employees that we recruit. It's gonna be a great benefit that if they stay here, they're gonna have a really amazing retirement.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about that, keeping employees. Yes,
Can I make a quick comment on the grant?
yes.
For the shelters, just a quick plug. Regional Planning has the Areas of Persistent Poverty Grant ongoing, where they're doing design work towards bus stop enhancements. If this grant goes through and you're deciding what, shelters, where they want to go, my plug here, hey, the AOPP sites are a great place to start.
And all of these shelters agnostic, meaning they're not for 3 of them for this town, 10 of them for that town, that town. I always like to treat my shelters right now as a first come, first served basis on request. Just because we don't know that we're going to need a shelter place until we start seeing the, I would say the demand for it. In the ground, if one person's standing there once a month, just fine. If 2, 3 people are standing there every morning, a shelter is, I'm gonna say, necessary. So, because we want to keep them protected from the elements. That's really what it is. And then the heavy lift that I'm gonna ask is, we're gonna talk about the pay scale. Right now, Ozark Regional Transit pays $15.50 an hour starting wage for drivers and $17.50 an hour for drivers with a CDL. Starting January 1st, 2021, Razorback Transit and the University of Arkansas announced that their starting pay for non-CDL drivers is $21 an hour. And for CDL drivers, it's $23 an hour. No matter what I do, I'm thinking, hey, APRS is going to be a good way to go ahead and show people that we really care about their future and provide them with a great benefit. But if we're talking $5 an hour difference between one job and another doing the exact same thing, I think $5 an hour wins. Because the university does have some great benefits, reduced care or reduced cost for attendance to the college for your kids, that kind of stuff. I think on the benefits side, we are really, while there's some differences, we're really neck and neck with what we have as offerings now once APRS goes through. On the salary side, we're getting our butts handed to us. One of the questions that I had earlier was, where did the university come up with the money to go ahead and pay their drivers this new salary range? They're the university. They do a $50 million end zone replacement. I don't know where they come up with the money. They come up with the money. We're not as lucky as the university to have that kind of cash flow and or ability to split out a cash flow. So here's the heavy lift request. I would like to be competitive with everything else that's out there. I'm not going to match exactly the 21 and the 23. Looking at hopefully bringing up our employees by $3.50 an hour, which means that our starting wage for a non-CDL operator would be $19 versus their 21, and our CDL would be 21 versus their 23. I still believe some of our benefits in our working environment really speak for themselves. But to get to that, I got to find money. I can't print it. It's not legal. I can't steal it. It's not legal. So I've got to ask for it. And the final page is a calculator. It is not exact. It is a 2025 worst case scenario. If we did this starting January 1st, 2025, of what the request would be. We did this based off of the total employee working hours in 2024 of 166,500 employee working hours. What a salary increase of $3.50 is, the benefits multiplier of 1.38 comes up to $4.83 per employee working hour. Multiply that by the 166,000, that's $804,195. To weigh it out city by city, I took the number of transit hours that are being provided in each city, and you look at the 19,000, 17,000, 15,000, and 16,000, and took the percentage of that and split it out from city to city. And so my request to each individual city in a worst case scenario for 2025 would be $225,900 to the city of Fayetteville, all the way down to $182,581 to the city of Rogers. If we can move forward with this and at some point in time in the very near future, set an actual implementation date, then this number could be adjusted to the appropriate number of estimated hours that would be remaining in 2025. If we look at the 6-month mark, and say, hey, starting July 1st, we're gonna go ahead and do this, and we got between now and July 1st to convince the city leaders and the city councils to go ahead and release this money to Ozark Regional Transit, it would be down to a $400,000 ask-ish. But like I said, this is the calculator, assuming the exact same number of hours in 2025 as in 2024. This is what it would take for us to do a whole year and get us competitive back into the game. Right now, I've been going toe to toe primarily with rock haulers, bread delivery people, some of the smaller beer delivery people, dirt, sand, that type of stuff. And we've been pretty good because those are heavy lift jobs that you got to have young knees to do. You really do. We've got an older population, that this fits the older population who still want to work, you know, knees, backs, that kind of thing. And we're looking at, what we can do to be competitive with the other non-transit agencies. And April's was really a good draw. It really is a good draw. And now we've got this other one thrown in front of us. I will say this, Ozark Regional Transit has never been the leader in the salary benefits, everything else. We're always been the chaser. And now this is a huge chase and this is a huge ask. When it comes down to our employees, I can say this with confidence that I can probably pick out the people that, I would turn around and go, yep, they're gonna go. $5 an hour is $5 an hour, ladies and gentlemen. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I know some of my more seasoned, longer term employees are probably on their second or third career and they don't want to change. And they like what they're doing right now. They like the environment, they like what we're able to give, and they're going to stay. But as far as recruitment for new people, it's going to be tattooed on the side of the Razorback buses soon that says 21 and 23. Right now it says 1750, I think. And those tattoos or those advertising panels on the side are going to be updated in a very short period of time. And we're out, we're being outgunned. So I don't know how to ask other than please, can we take this to our city's councils? My schedule is wide open to talk to the finance departments and everything else so that we can determine how we're going to go ahead and retain and obtain employees.
So
Open for discussion. Yes, ma'am.
we are down bottom department 13, right? And we're down in the shop also. So we have a huge need.
At 47, I'm allowed 60.
So we're at 22% loss in or 22% open
Yes.
positions.
Yes.
I don't know where to take it from here other than to ask the board, how do we get from here to there?
To put in perspective, when did we arrive at the 1550? That was a couple of years ago,
2
right?
years ago, yes,
2
sir.
years ago.
And we need that in increments.
Yes.
Right.
And that one we were chasing the Arkansas minimum wage, because when Arkansas minimum wage first opened up, it's what are we at, 11.50, 11.25?
No, we're at 10.50.
Yeah, we were $1 below Arkansas minimum wage.
Well, what do we end up? Not at the
Yeah,
time, you know.
yeah.
But what do it end up? We're below it.
Right. We've always been chasing. And I'm gonna ask for one more chase.
This increase, you mentioned shop personnel, other people there. How many employees would be eligible for this? And is it driver specific or is it?
It would have to be all employees across the board. That's why I put up the 166,000 employee hours across the board. Because I don't know how I'm going to go ahead and retain mechanics if I only do it for operators. And I don't know how I'm going to retain office personnel if I do it only for operators and mechanics. To me, it's got to be across the board. So that all employees are positively impacted by the increase. I know right now, when we compare ourselves to the guys over at Razorback, our $15 an hour starting wage inside the office is $2.50 below this. I know that our dispatchers are easy annually $10,000 to $12,000 below theirs. And our dispatchers have been there longer in their positions than their starts.
Joel, Dan Weiss again. We're still talking to city council about our current contract. And I didn't go look the number up, but just rough numbers. Is that a 33% increase to our contract?
To your portion of the contract, you guys are at 5 something, so you would be looking at, yes, about a 33% increase, but for the cost of services, because you guys, so you guys got, going off the top of my head, 640,000 from the federal portion, 500 and some change, 550, let's call it for easy numbers, for the city portion. And then the foundation portion, I believe, is another 380,000. So to provide all the services, 645, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, you got $1.5 million worth of service that the city is paying 1/3 for. And then we're asking for an increase on that. So basically what it would do, it would take you from a 33% participation in the services that are actually being paid for by the city to closer to a 50% participation.
But if the increase is, if I'm trying to, your chart, the headers may be off over some of the columns on page 7. So it's in dollars to the city that you want a larger check from the city. You want 188,000 more dollars from the city. Or am I reading that wrong?
Yes, sir. No,
right now,
you got it.
So the check from the city needs to be 33% bigger.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, that's how I read that math.
And Joel, this
Or
is
am I
Peter.
missing something?
This is Peter, Joel. Just to make sure, I think everybody understands, especially the new board members, like the only way to practically manage this is all the cities have to be in lockstep on these increases. Like there's no way to increase salaries for only route drivers going to one city and not another city, right? So we got to all be together. Is that correct?
Correct. Otherwise, we will have a revolt in the fact that, oh, nobody wants to drive in Springdale anymore because Springdale didn't say, and I have to pick on somebody in your here. If Fayetteville said yes and Springdale said no, I would have to start forcing drivers to drive for a lower wage, and I would pretty soon have no more drivers to force to drive for the lower wage because they would leave.
Yeah. And so remind me, how long has $15.50 been your starting salary?
Are we in the second year?
I think we're maybe 2 years, maybe.
If I remember correctly,
It's about 2.
we approved that as a board. Obviously, it was during the budget, in the budget season, it was mid-year.
Yes, sir.
If I remember that correct. And then once we approved it as a board, it set those rates. And then when we budgeted for the following year as each city, we took that into account, saying either we increase our amount to keep our current routes or we reduce service.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I think for, I'm not speaking for any city but Fayetteville, it's going to be difficult to go back and ask for more money mid-year. I think there's got to be, this has got to be baked into the annual ask for the cities. We've got to agree, in my opinion, as a board on how to manage salary increases. And I'll just throw out, we had success, staggering it over multiple years before. That's probably something we ought to think about. But I just don't see how there's any way we can go back to our city council and ask for $250,000 of additional money for transit mid-year.
Correct. And again, this is worst case scenario, asks if it was started on January 1st of 2025. If there's an opportunity to set a mid-year start time, then everything would be calculated accordingly.
How quickly, in your opinion, do we need to implement this to keep, I don't know, to reduce attrition? And you said you've got 22% open positions to help you start to close some of those positions. I mean, is this something that we need to implement this year? And if so, I mean, to me, if we're not able to go back and ask for more money, then the only way to do it is to cut hours of service.
Which I don't even want to do. The smart aleck in me, Peter, would say we needed to do it yesterday. The realist in me, I would say we need to actually be actively planning it so that the employees can see what the active plan is and still provide them that light at the end of the tunnel saying, this is what we're going to be doing by this date. And we hold to that date.
Am I wrong in saying that it's just coming back to me as we're talking about it? Did we approve it mid-year and the Walton Family Foundation picked up the remainder of that year at the rate increase?
No.
And then we.
We had a grant, we had the ARP.
Grant.
One of the grants doing COVID,
Yes.
we had some additional funds that we were able to start it earlier, use those funds.
Yeah.
And then the cities kicked in the following year.
That's recovery plan.
That's what it was.
Yeah, we had some recovery
Yeah,
funds,
yeah.
additional ones we were
Yeah.
able to start it with earlier
Yeah.
and then.
Yeah.
That's.
Yeah, it was the recovery funds that, the American Recovery Act. I think so.
American
ARPA.
Plan.
ARPA, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So there's nothing like that out there?
Not that we're aware of it.
There's nothing out there right now. Like I said, we still didn't even have our 2025 access to our 2025 allocations yet. So,
Okay.
and we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months into 2025 federal fiscal year. Like I said, and I know this is a hard ask and it's a heavy lift. But putting a plan together to provide a concept that we're doing something to be more competitive in Northwest Arkansas. We always seem to be behind the 8 ball when it comes to salaries and benefits and services and everything else. I'm looking for direction here.
Hey, Jeffrey, I've got to jump off, and I know there's a big group here, but real quickly on salaries, sometimes the situation's hard. Like we may not be able to get approval of giving pay increases to stay competitive now, but I really recommend it does work because if one person leaves us for a higher paying job that's right down the street, that spreads. They tell their friend who tells their friend, like it could really create a chain reaction. Is as aggressively as we can in terms of timing, put together a strategy and try to propose it with the people who would potentially give us $250,000 more next year. And if you can put together a program or a plan in front of your current drivers, that although it may not happen now, it'll happen in the future and they have a line of sight to it. You can usually keep people happy if they like their jobs, and it can prevent somebody from jumping ship short term for more money when they know that, again, there's a line of sight to making more money down the road. So just recommending is we come together with a plan, put it in front of somebody, not asking for money mid-year, right? Unless we got lucky, but having an actual plan together that we can try to get approved early if there's a possible way to do that. That's just a recommendation. I've had to do this before and I've done it both ways, and just when they can see that they're going to get a raise on a future date, it just can't happen now. They tend to not have a problem with it.
Yeah.
Apologize.
That's one of my hopes, Jesse, is that we can actually give them the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, you can usually, I mean, they get excited about it. What they do, look at people who live paycheck to paycheck. They plan their lives around what they make. And if they have a line of sight, they're getting a $3 pay raise an hour. And 5 months from now, they start to plan their life then. And it prevents, if all of a sudden they hear that someone else is paying more right now, again, it removes most of that impulsive behavior if they are happy.
Agreed.
Yes. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
There been any more conversations with Walton Family Foundation, just in general recently?
Nothing in general recently. If directed, I can go ahead and make this ask.
I know their priorities have shifted some based on some conversations I've had with them, so I'm not sure what opportunities would be available, but it could be worth even, for something similar, a partial match or whatever opportunities they might have out.
Very good. Very good.
But there's nothing immediate available. I feel like the assurance that the employees would have would be something that the board passes to say, we are going to enact these rates at the beginning of 2026.
Right.
We may even want to plan for step increases in the future, even if we can, cover an immediate stopgap, just so we don't wind up in the situation again in 2 more years.
Yeah, you talk about the step increases, one of the pages that was provided, this is directly off the, University of Arkansas Raceback, website of what their, steps are gonna look like, so. And it's been a significant increase for a lot of their employees.
Joel, I know this came up during our executive committee discussion, but I don't remember the details of it. But aren't a fair bit of your current driver expenses related to overtime costs because of your number of open positions? And would there theoretically be savings baked into this if we got less, folks working less overtime and we're able to boost their base salaries? Like those are going to offset each other a little bit if we can reduce your vacancy rate. So is that at all calculated into these numbers you're showing us?
It's not in these numbers yet, because we just kind of were doing some basic quick math numbers on things, which when we would go to real numbers, we would bake that into it. And it would have a little bit of savings, maybe not a huge amount, but it would have some savings. So maybe that ask wouldn't be maybe quite as much if you could really get fully staffed, that we didn't need the overtime that we're happy to do right now.
Yeah, just having that real hourly rate that's being paid with the overtime factored in to be.
So, but one thing I can commit to is by the, and I say I commit to, Mindy and Taylor will commit to, is by the executive committee meeting in March, we will have something that is a bit more of a less shocking, worst case scenario number. And maybe we can step it out in, if it happened at month 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, what that would look like based off of the projected number of working hours, how many positions, that type of thing. I did want to get this out in front of everybody because it is a shocking number, but it's a real number based off of the number of hours worked in 2024. And that's what it would actually take for us to go ahead and become competitive again. It just goes to show me we've got a 20% opening in our maintenance and operations side, and we are 20% short in our funding to do that. I didn't make that correlation up. We're at a $7 million a year budget, and we're almost $1 million short. It's pretty crazy.
Okay. Guess we can look forward to that in the March executive committee meeting.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And outside of that, we've got the March 20th executive committee meeting and the April 24th regular ORT board meeting.
All right. Are there any other questions for Joel or anything else that needs to be brought up in this meeting? Okay, hearing none, I hereby adjourn the meeting.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your time.